In the small misty town of Millbrook, Emma Williams stood by the kitchen window, watching raindrops race down the glass. Her fingers traced the worn edges of another unpaid bill, the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. At 28, life had become a constant battle of survival. The cottage was old, inherited from her grandparents, its wooden floors creaking with memories of better times. Margaret, her mother, sat quietly in the corner, her hands trembling slightly as she knitted a worn blue scarf. Emma knew those hands once worked tirelessly as a schoolteacher, before illness had stolen her independence. Every morning began the same way. Emma would wake before sunrise, prepare a simple breakfast of toast and tea, and help her mother dress. The local hospital where she had worked for 6 years had closed unexpectedly, leaving her without a steady income. Nursing jobs were scarce in Millbrook, and each rejected application felt like another nail in their financial coffin. To keep them afloat, Emma took whatever work she could find. Some days she cleaned houses, other days she helped at the local bakery, kneading dough and serving customers with a smile that masked her inner struggle. Her craft skills became a lifeline. She began making handmade greeting cards and small, knitted items to sell at the weekend market. "We'll be okay, Mum," Emma would say, her voice steady despite the uncertainty churning inside her. Margaret would smile, her eyes filled with a mixture of pride and concern. She knew the burden her daughter carried was never meant for someone so young. The cottage needed repairs. The roof leaked in 3 different places, and the heating system was more of a hope than a reality. Emma's savings had been depleted months ago, and each month was a careful dance of prioritizing essential expenses. Food, medicine, and basic utilities came first. Everything else was a luxury they couldn't afford. In the evenings, after helping her mother to bed, Emma would sit at the small kitchen table, surrounded by bills and job applications. Her smartphone, a cheap model that was several generations old, became her lifeline to potential opportunities. She scrolled through job listings, submitted applications, and tried to maintain hope. The local community was small but kind. Mrs. Peterson from the corner shop would sometimes slip an extra loaf of bread into Emma's bag. Old Mr. Roberts, who ran the town's only mechanic shop, would fix her ancient bicycle for free, understanding her financial situation. Emma's nursing skills hadn't disappeared, even if her job had. She volunteered at the community center, offering basic health checks and advice to elderly residents. It wasn't paid work, but it kept her connected to her passion and helped her feel useful. Winter was approaching, and with it came additional challenges. The cottage would be cold, heating would be expensive, and her mother's health was always more fragile during the colder months. Emma calculated and recalculated their budget, trying to find ways to stretch every penny. Her dreams seemed distant now. Once she had hoped to specialize in pediatric nursing, to work in a modern hospital, to provide a comfortable life for her mother. Now, survival was her only goal. Each day was a reminder of how quickly life could change, how carefully constructed plans could crumble in an instant. But Emma was not a person to be defeated easily. Her resilience was her greatest strength. She had inherited her mother's determination and her father's optimism. Though he had passed away years ago, his spirit lived on in her unwavering hope. As night fell over Millbrook, Emma prepared a simple dinner. Vegetable soup made from discounted produce, homemade bread, and a small piece of cheese. Her mother watched her, a silent testament to the love and sacrifice that filled their small home. "You're remarkable," Margaret whispered, her voice soft, but filled with love. Emma smiled, her tired eyes reflecting both exhaustion and an unbreakable spirit. Tomorrow would be another day of challenges, another day of hope, another day of survival. In the quiet of the cottage, with rain tapping against the windows and the gentle rhythm of her mother's breathing, Emma Williams prepared to face another day in her journey of resilience and love. The community center stood like an old friend in the heart of Millbrook, its red brick walls holding countless stories of local gatherings and quiet moments of connection. Emma hesitated at the entrance, her worn canvas bag clutched tightly against her side. Finding work had become a daily struggle, and today felt like another potential disappointment. Thomas Peterson, a retired schoolteacher with kind eyes and silver-streaked hair, noticed her immediately. He had watched Emma volunteer during previous health workshops, admiring her patience and genuine care for the community's elderly residents. There was something special about her, a determination that cut through her obvious financial struggles. "Good morning," he called out, his voice warm and welcoming. "Would you have a moment?" Emma turned, surprise flickering across her tired face. Thomas approached her with a folder of papers and a gentle smile. He explained that the community center needed someone to help organize local health programs and assist with senior citizen support services. The job wasn't full-time, but it was a lifeline. Part-time work meant flexible hours that would allow her to continue caring for her mother. Thomas understood her situation without Emma having to explain every detail. He saw her potential where others might have seen only struggle. Her first workshop was simple but powerful. Emma taught basic first aid to a group of local seniors and young parents. She broke down complex medical information into easy-to-understand steps. Her nursing background shone through, combined with a natural ability to connect with people. Word spread quickly through Millbrook. The community center became more than just a building. It transformed into a place of hope and learning. Emma's workshops brought people together, creating connections that ran deeper than simple medical information. Mrs. Roberts, a local widow, began attending every session. She appreciated how Emma explained health topics with compassion and clarity. For many seniors, these workshops were more than just learning. They were a chance to feel valued and connected. Thomas became more than just a supervisor. He became a mentor and friend, offering guidance and support. He saw in Emma a reflection of his younger teaching days, someone dedicated to making a positive difference regardless of personal challenges. During lunch breaks, they would discuss community needs. Thomas shared stories of Millbrook's history, and Emma listened intently. She began to understand the community's fabric, its challenges, its strengths, its unspoken connections. Her mother noticed the change first. Margaret saw a renewed spark. In Emma's eyes, a sense of purpose that had been missing for months. "You're finding your way," she would say, her hands still busy with knitting. The additional income wasn't massive, but it made a significant difference. Emma could now purchase slightly better groceries, repair a small section of the cottage's roof, and breathe a little easier. More importantly, she was rebuilding her professional confidence. The community center became her sanctuary. Here she wasn't just struggling to survive, she was creating meaningful connections. Young mothers learned infant care, seniors discovered health management techniques, and everyone found a sense of belonging. Thomas watched her transform. Where once she had seemed defeated, now she radiated a quiet strength. Her workshops weren't just about medical information. They were about rebuilding community spirit one lesson at a time. Local businesses began to take notice. The bakery would donate pastries for her workshops. The mechanic shop offered free safety checks for seniors who attended her programs. Slowly, Emma was weaving herself into the community's support network. One crisp autumn afternoon, as leaves danced outside the community center's windows, Emma realized something profound. Her struggle wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about creating hope, one small connection at a time. The job wasn't perfect, the pay was modest, the hours unpredictable. But for the first time in months, Emma felt she was moving forward rather than simply trying to stay afloat. As evening approached and she packed up her teaching materials, Thomas approached with another opportunity. "We might have something more permanent," he said, his eyes twinkling with possibility. Emma smiled, a genuine, hopeful smile that spoke of resilience, connection, and the unexpected ways life could change. The phone call came on a grey Wednesday morning, shattering the fragile peace Emma had been building. Her mother, Margaret, had collapsed at home, and the ambulance's urgent sirens cut through Millbrook's quiet streets like a warning. At the hospital, doctors spoke words that felt like heavy stones. Heart complications, immediate treatment required, expensive medications needed. Emma listened, her world shrinking to the sterile white walls and the beeping machines monitoring her mother's weakening heartbeat. Medical bills arrived like unwelcome guests. Thousands of pounds seemed to materialize overnight, threatening to consume every penny Emma had carefully saved. Her part-time work at the community center suddenly felt inadequate against the mountain of medical expenses. She began working multiple jobs. Mornings at the community center, afternoons cleaning houses, evenings helping at the local bakery, and late nights creating handmade crafts to sell. Sleep became a luxury she could no longer afford. Dark circles formed under her eyes, a testament to her relentless determination. Thomas noticed her exhaustion. "You cannot continue like this," he would say, watching her organize workshop materials with trembling hands. But Emma knew no other way. Her mother was all she had, and she would fight with every ounce of her strength. The cottage began to show signs of neglect. Repairs were postponed, maintenance forgotten. Every spare pound went towards medical treatments and prescriptions. Emma's wardrobe became a collection of worn, patched clothing, each item a sacrifice for her mother's health. Margaret tried to protest, tried to convince Emma to focus on herself, but her daughter's love was a force more powerful than any illness. During hospital visits, Emma would read to her, hold her hand, and whisper stories of hope and recovery. The community began to notice. Small acts of kindness emerged unexpectedly. Mrs. Peterson from the corner shop would leave fresh bread and soup. Mr. Roberts would fix something in the cottage without charging. These gestures became lifelines in Emma's increasingly difficult world. Local businesses where Emma had worked started a quiet support network. The bakery owner arranged flexible hours. The community center adjusted her schedule. Thomas helped coordinate medical appointments and paperwork, reducing her administrative burden. Some nights, overwhelmed by exhaustion and fear, Emma would sit by her mother's hospital bed and cry silently. But morning always came, bringing with it renewed strength and determination. She refused to be defeated by circumstances. Her health workshops continued, now carrying a deeper meaning. Each lesson became more than medical information. It was a testament to human resilience. Participants saw her struggle and found inspiration in her unbreakable spirit. Financial pressures mounted. Emma sold her grandmother's jewelry, her father's old watch, anything of value. Each item was a piece of family history, but survival demanded sacrifices. Her smartphone, her primary connection to job opportunities, was replaced with a cheaper model. The local bank considered her loan application, scrutinizing her unstable income. Rejection seemed inevitable. But Emma refused to accept defeat. She continued applying, explaining her situation with a combination of vulnerability and strength that touched even the most bureaucratic hearts. Margaret's condition stabilized, but at a significant cost. Specialized treatments, ongoing medication, regular checkups, each element added to their financial pressure. Emma's world had become a delicate balance between hope and survival. Through it all, she discovered an inner strength she never knew existed. Her community workshop students began offering support, bringing meals, helping with small repairs, providing emotional comfort. What had started as professional connections transformed into a network of genuine care. Thomas became more than a mentor. He became a pillar of support, offering guidance, emotional comfort, and practical help. He understood that Emma's struggle was not just about survival, but about preserving dignity and hope. As winter approached, bringing with it additional challenges, Emma looked at her mother sleeping peacefully in the hospital bed. Exhaustion lined her face, but her eyes held an unbreakable spirit. She had faced her breaking point and discovered that resilience was not about never falling, but about rising every single time. The journey was far from over. But Emma Williams was ready to face whatever came next, one challenging moment at a time. The letter arrived on a crisp autumn morning, its official letterhead catching the soft sunlight streaming through the cottage window. Emma's hands trembled as she opened it, her breath catching in her throat. A healthcare scholarship, fully funded advanced nursing qualifications. The opportunity seemed too perfect to be real. Thomas had been instrumental in preparing her application. He had spent countless evenings helping her craft her personal statement, understanding the depth of her commitment to healthcare and community support. "You're more than your current circumstances," he would remind her. his eyes sparkling with belief. The scholarship wasn't just about education. It was a promise of transformation, a chance to rebuild her professional dreams that had been put on hold during her mother's illness. Emma read the acceptance letter multiple times, hardly believing the words. Margaret, now recovering at home, watched her daughter's excitement with tears in her eyes. "You've always been remarkable," she whispered, her hand gently squeezing Emma's. The scholarship meant more than just personal achievement. It meant hope for their entire family. Millbrook seemed to celebrate with her. The community center organized a small gathering, local residents bringing homemade cakes and offering congratulations. Emma felt overwhelmed by the support, realizing how deeply she had connected with this small town. The nursing program would be challenging. Evening classes, practical training, complex medical modules. Emma would need to balance her studies with caring for her mother and maintaining her part-time work. But for the first time in years, challenge felt like opportunity rather than burden. Thomas helped her navigate the practical aspects. He assisted with application forms, helped her understand the scholarship's requirements, and provided emotional support. His mentorship had transformed from professional guidance to genuine friendship. Local businesses where Emma had worked offered flexible arrangements. The bakery promised evening shifts that would accommodate her study schedule. The community center adjusted her workshop responsibilities. Everyone seemed invested in her success. Her first day of advanced nursing classes felt like stepping into a new world. Younger students looked at her with respect, recognizing her life experience. Lecturers appreciated her practical knowledge and commitment. Emma was no longer just surviving, she was preparing to thrive. The scholarship covered tuition, provided a small living stipend, and offered additional support for study materials. For the first time in years, financial pressure began to ease. Emma could focus on learning, on growing, on building a better future. Her mother's health continued to improve. The specialized treatments were working, and Margaret's determination matched her daughter's. She would sit and listen to Emma's study notes, offering insights from her own teaching background. The cottage, which had felt like a burden, now seemed full of possibility. Small repairs became manageable. They could afford better heating, some home improvements. The constant stress of survival began to dissolve. Emma's community health workshops gained new depth. Her advanced training allowed her to provide more specialized information. Participants noticed the change: her confidence, her expanded knowledge, her renewed passion for healthcare. Local healthcare providers began noticing her. Conversations about potential future employment started happening. The scholarship was not just an educational opportunity, but a potential career pathway. Thomas watched her transformation with quiet pride. The tired, stressed woman who had walked into the community center months ago was becoming a confident, passionate healthcare professional. Her journey represented hope for everyone facing seemingly impossible challenges. Her classmates became supporters. Some were younger, some were returning to education like herself. They formed study groups, shared resources, celebrated each other's achievements. Emma found herself part of a supportive learning community. The financial pressure that had defined her life for so long began to recede. Each completed module, each successful assignment was a step towards a more stable future. Emma was rewriting her own story, one study session at a time. As winter approached, Emma looked different. Her eyes held determination instead of exhaustion. Her smile reflected genuine hope. The scholarship was more than an educational opportunity. It was a lifeline, a promise of transformation. Millbrook watched and celebrated. A community that had supported her through difficult times now witnessed her rising. Emma's journey became an inspiration, a testament to resilience, community support, and the power of never giving up. The turning tide had arrived, bringing with it the promise of new beginnings. The new community health center stood bright and modern, a symbol of progress in Millbrook. Emma walked through its doors, no longer a struggling job seeker, but a qualified senior healthcare coordinator. Her journey had transformed from survival to purpose. Her nursing qualifications had opened doors she once thought were permanently closed. The center offered her a stable position with opportunities for further professional growth. Margaret watched, her daughter's achievement with tears of pride, her own health significantly improved. Every morning began with purpose. Emma would help organize community health programs, develop support strategies for local residents, and provide specialized healthcare guidance. Her workshops were now more comprehensive, drawing larger crowds and receiving praise from local healthcare professionals. Thomas, her mentor and friend, continued to support her. He attended her first official presentation at the health center, his eyes filled with the quiet pride of someone who had believed in her potential when she had almost lost hope. "You've done more than just succeed," he told her. "You've inspired an entire community." The health center became more than a workplace for Emma. It was a platform to create meaningful change. She developed programs for senior citizens, created support networks for families dealing with chronic illnesses, and brought comprehensive healthcare information to people who needed it most. Her mother's recovery played a significant role in her motivation. Margaret had become her biggest supporter, helping her prepare for presentations, listening to her professional challenges, and offering wisdom gained from years of teaching. Their relationship had transformed from one of desperate survival to mutual respect and support. Millbrook noticed the change. Local businesses began collaborating with the health center. The bakery would sponsor health awareness events. The mechanic shop would offer free health checkup days. Emma had become a bridge between healthcare and community support. Financial stability arrived slowly but surely. Emma could now afford proper repairs for the cottage, purchase better medical supplies for her mother, and even start a modest savings account. The constant stress of survival had been replaced by careful planning and hope. Her community workshops evolved. What had started as basic first aid classes now included comprehensive health management, mental wellness programs, and specialized support for different age groups. People came not just to learn, but to feel connected and supported. Local schools began inviting her to speak about healthcare careers. Young students saw in Emma a real-life example of resilience and professional achievement. She became a role model, showing that challenges could be transformed into opportunities. The scholarship that had seemed like a distant dream had become a life-changing reality. Emma's journey inspired others facing similar struggles. She became living proof that education, community support, and personal determination could overcome significant obstacles. Her relationship with Thomas remained special. He had been more than a mentor. He had been a beacon of hope during her darkest moments. They would often discuss community healthcare strategies, sharing ideas that could benefit Millbrook's residents. Margaret's health continued to improve. She became actively involved in Emma's community programs, sharing her teaching experience and providing emotional support to participants. Their home, once a place of struggle, now rang with laughter and hope. Emma's professional network expanded. Healthcare professionals from neighboring towns sought her advice. Her innovative community health approaches gained recognition beyond Millbrook. Conference invitations started arriving, acknowledging her unique approach to community healthcare. The cottage that had once felt like a burden now felt like a home of hope. Small improvements, carefully planned investments, and a sense of security replaced the constant anxiety of previous years. Emma had not just survived, she had thrived. Her story became an inspiration. Local newspapers featured her journey, highlighting how education, community support, and personal resilience could transform lives. Young people in Millbrook began seeing their futures with renewed optimism. As evening approached and Emma prepared her mother's dinner, she reflected on their journey. The challenges had been immense, the struggles real, but hope had been their constant companion. Each difficult moment had been a stepping stone to this beautiful present. Thomas would often remind her, "You didn't just change your life. You changed the entire community's perspective on what's possible." And he was right. Emma's journey was more than a personal success story. It was a testament to the power of hope, community support, and unwavering determination. In the warm kitchen of their cottage, with the soft light of possibility surrounding them, Emma and Margaret knew that their most challenging chapter had transformed into their most beautiful story.